Yo, what's up guys? So today we have the Engineer PZ-58 screw extracting pliers that we're going to try out. I just got these, £17 on Amazon. It's going to be my first time using them, so give a little bit of a review. First impressions, they seem pretty well built. Here's the package. There's the front, you can pause it if you want to read that. And there's the back explaining it. You can pause it if you want to read that as well. So I've got some rounded bolts here on this step motor. So I've tried using these crappy little Allen keys, and these ended up just rounding out the bolt. I was able to get one screw out, but that was kind of just luck, really. They've got purple Loctite, so they're on quite strongly. I also tried to, when I rounded these out, you can see, you should be able to see a little bit of that epoxy. I tried to use epoxy to stick the Allen keys on as like a sacrificial Allen key, but that didn't work. So I got these to try to solve the problem. Worst case scenario, if this doesn't work, I'm gonna have to use a Dremel and then use to cut a flat slot and use this flat screwdriver. But hopefully this will be a more elegant solution. So you can see the jaws. They're designed to basically grip onto the head of a nut. And each one of these pliers, they have a range. This is the PZ-58, but there's a PZ-57, 56, whatever. And that's for different sizes of bolts. So you can go on Amazon and you can choose, depending on what size bolt you have, you can choose which plier you need. But this is a pretty good one, kind of middle of the road in terms of the screw head diameter that it can extract. You can see on the package here, the diameter for the screw head is from 3mm to 9.5mm. So that's a pretty good range. But you can get ones that go all the way down to like 2mm, and some that go up to, you know, larger diameter. They also make vice grip versions of these, but these should do for now. I will put an Amazon affiliate link if you want to buy these. If they don't work, then I guess you won't buy them. I won't buy them either if they don't work. So hopefully they'll work. All right, let's try this out. Okay. So I've gripped on pretty tight there. Let me see if I can grip on. These bolts are quite shallow, so all right, let's see. It's come out. There we go. Just about. All right, that's quite good. They do work. Quite slowly, but this should come out. I might heat the other ones up because there is purple Loctite on this, so I might heat the other ones up just to soften the Loctite, make it a little bit easier. But you can see it's grabbed on there, making a bit of a mess of this. But I'm scratching for the powder coating, but it does allow you to grip onto that head quite well. Yeah, it's coming loose now. So let's get this out. Should be able to do it by, no, I can't do it by hand. I've got this lead screw in the way. It's bolting onto a motor with a lead screw in the way, so I can't really twist it that fast, but it's coming out easy now. So that saved me having to Dremel this out. If I started dremeling this, I don't know. This is some more elegant solution. For 17 quid, it's pretty good. Basically, it already paid for itself. well, I have to try these two, make sure we can do those two as well before I celebrate too early, but it seems like these definitely work. It just allows you to get a super huge grip on that head. Let's see. So it's out there. There's a little bit of marring on it, but that's fine. I'm going to replace this bolt anyway. You can see how shallow it will focus. You can see how shallow that the head of that bolt is, so the fact that I was able to grab onto it is pretty impressive. So I'm going to do the other two now. Actually, before I do those two, I'm going to heat up the bolt a little bit just with my soldering iron, just to make sure that it's a little bit easier to come out. Alright, so I've heated that screw up now, just to soften that Loctite a bit. I shouldn't need it because it's only purple Loctite, but these are really stuck in there. Yeah, I tried to use epoxy. I used JB Weld, that didn't work with the Allen keys, and also used Gorilla Epoxy. So if you're trying to use the epoxy like method on M3 bolts, that's not gonna work. So just get yourself one of these. Alright guys, so I actually had to put that whole assembly in a vise to be able to try to get enough leverage with two hands. But unfortunately, those other two screws just weren't able to come out. The pliers actually did a good job of like being able to grip on to the screw, but every time I would turn it, all the force would go into basically marring the head of the screw instead of actually turning it. So it was literally deforming the metal of the screw. So I ended up having to, and that's the remainder of it. I think if it was able to get enough, because these screws are quite soft as well, so they just ended up just like completely squeezing the metal, and it just wasn't able to. That torque wasn't able to actually spin out of the threads. So I wouldn't quite say it's a failure. It's kind of a partial success. It was able to get out one, but those other two were just really stubbornly in those threads of the motor. So yeah, I ended up having to cut a slot. Well, I tried to cut a slot like for a flathead screwdriver in the screw heads, but my Dremel cutter was too thick. So I just ended up just completely grinding off the heads of the screws, and then I had to use. I'll put a video up so you can see it came out. Yeah, I had to use some huge slip lock pliers to actually have enough leverage and torque to get the remainder. If you can see, that's the remainder of the bolt that couldn't come out with these. Yeah, I had to use the big pliers to be able to get enough torque to take these out of the threads of the bolt. So if anything, even if these were able to get enough torque, the head of this probably would have snapped anyway. So I don't know. Overall, partial success with these. And even though it wasn't able to get those other two out, you can actually see the jaws have held up pretty well. There's very little, forget the light here, there's very little damage, in fact no damage basically, on the jaws. So they did held up pretty well, even though they weren't able to successfully extract the screw. They were able to extract one, but those other two ones were just way too over tightened and had way too much Loctite in there, so I had to use other means to get them out. So other than that, the only thing that I find annoying about these pliers is that and you can see the protective cap comes separate. I think it's like £4 on Amazon, but it's kind of annoying. You'd expect them to just come with it. It's like a little plastic cap They should really just include that. So that's the other annoying thing about these pliers. Okay, so I've actually designed a cap in Fusion 360, as you can see here. And this is going to allow you to 3D print a cap, and you can actually get access to this file on my printables page. You can just go to here, and then you can download the cap and 3D print it yourself. If I was to try to do that purchase again, I probably would have got either there's 3 other ones that I was looking at to try to solve this problem. I was looking at the PZ-55s. So these are the PZ-58s. I was looking at the PZ-55s, which have a slightly smaller jaw profile, and I have a feeling that I might have been able to grip onto these quite small. Again, these are M3 button cap screws, so they're quite small. So maybe the PZ-55s would have been able to get a better grip onto those. The other ones were the slip joint versions of these. So there's like huge slip joint versions of these with the same design for the jaw. So that probably would have been able to get enough leverage to eventually get those screws out. There's also the PZ-64s. And I'll put all of these in the description, the Amazon links. But the PZ-64s also look good because they're actually locking plier versions or vice grip versions. Because I did find it quite difficult because you have to squeeze enough to grip the screw head and then also torque it. So trying to do those two things at once, it can lead to kind of slipping out. Whereas if you had the locking pliers, you could just get enough, make sure you have the grip on the screw and then lock it, and then you can just focus all your energy on torquing the screw out. So maybe those other plier options would have been more suitable. And all of those other pliers are roughly the same price. So about £20, $20, and actually a little bit under than that. These were about £17 because I got them on offer. Yeah guys, that's the review, that's the test. Tell me what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.